request Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Vice Chancellor at Patil International University, to come on stage, please. A huge round of applause for him. May I invite Professor V.N. Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor Somaiya Vidyavihar University, to come on stage, please. A huge round of applause for him as well. May I request Dr. Sayalee Gankar, Vice Chancellor at Patil University, to come on stage, please. I also request Dr. Nitin Joshi, Director Dr. V.N. Bedekar Institute of Management Studies, to come on stage, please. May I request Adya Sharma, Director Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Symbiosis International University. I request Ankit Aggarwal, Founder and CEO of Unstop, to come on stage, please, as well. So I think we have with us all of them. Professor Prabhat Ranjan is here, Professor Rajasekharan Pillai is here, Dr. Sayalee Gankar is here, Dr. Nitin Joshi is here, yes, Adya Sharma is here, yes, Ankit is here now. Yeah, please take your seat. I think Dr. Asmita hasn't come yet, so I think we are sorted. So the theme of this panel is that we all know how important Pune is for the education map of India, and let's focus on this panel that how Pune and Maharashtra actually can consolidate its position as a hub of higher education. We can discuss on various aspects of imparting higher education, again talking about skill, employability, and how higher education institutes and industry can actually collaborate together. So let me start with Professor Prabhat Ranjan. Professor Ranjan, you have been to this field for many years now, and I know you have to rush immediately because of the important thing is happening today for India's space mission. Chandrayaan is happening and he has to be there. So I'll start with you. Professor Ranjan, if I may ask you that, how do you see that the higher education ecosystem, especially in Pune and around the state of Maharashtra, has evolved over the years, and where do you see the future going? That we have been discussing so many things this morning. We got perspective from regulators, government, from industry, from startups. As someone from Patil University, where do you see that these things need to be done on priority in the next 5 to 6 years? Your thoughts on that?
Thank you. So I'll just give a brief background of mine. So I've studied a very different kind of education systems. Started from municipal school of one room, Jopri, and I went to a place called Netarat, which is a good status school. I used to live in ashram from age of 10, in jungles of Raj. I lived in Nalanda ashram. Nalanda is our symbol of education system. I went to IIT Kharagpur, I went to Delhi University, I went to University of California, Berkeley for my PhD. Berkeley was number 1 in the world. So I've seen different kind of education system. Each one of them had different kind of systems. And I'm a nuclear fusion scientist. I came back to India, spent 20 years in nuclear fusion labs in India and the US. And then I went to University of Dhirubhai Ambani Institute as professor for 11 years. We made a lot of changes there. And then I was heading India's technology think tank in Delhi for 5 years, from 2013 to 2018, before I came to Pune. So I will not claim myself to expert of Pune by any means. But when we prepared Technology Vision 2035, document which Prime Minister wrote the forward and launched it, we realized that technology is changing very, very fast. It's changing faster than we can imagine. It's also diffusing very fast. That means obsolescence is extremely high. So when I came to Pune as a Vice Chancellor of a new university, there were challenges, there were opportunities. But one thing became very clear to me in the very early days that whole Pune system depends on an umbrella that Pune University is thrusting over. So we are not seeing beyond Pune University. We are not seeing in Mumbai, we are not seeing in Delhi, we are not seeing Gujarat what's happening or anywhere else. We are very comfortable with where Pune is the best, and this umbrella is there. You don't see beyond this. This comfort level was discomforting to me, because the changes that needed to be brought in was very important. It was not for Pune, it was for the country. When we prepared Technology Vision 2035 document, we had prepared roadmaps to achieve that vision for the country in 12 different sectors. Education sector roadmap I put right on number 1 position. And luckily, on 10th and 11th November 2017, Dr. Anil Kalputta, my chairman's 75th birthday was there. We launched the document in Pune itself. Right after that, we had a meeting in the Education Policy Committee with Dr. Kasturirangan and Anil Kalputta, both were present in Delhi in 1st week of December. So our document became a very important part of the education policy. So when I came to Pune, luckily right challenge how to transform ecosystem which will have long-lasting effect to the country. I'll just share a few examples that I noticed. When I talked about international, like my university, there are a lot of DY universities, including Sayalee universities there. We have more than 200 institutes under DY Patil banner. My university name is DY Patil International University. Okay. Now, international means that you should have international quality of education. When we try to bring changes, very simple changes like relative grading, people simply didn't understand what it was. Tried to bring team teaching, people did not understand what it was. It took me 3 months to explain what was relative grading. I struggle with that when new faculty was coming because they have to study in Pune University system, they don't know anything beyond that. So when we called today Oxford East actually, I remember meeting Oxford team sometime back, 10, 12 years back in Ahmedabad. They were talking about Oxford. I said that when Nalanda was well established, going down, then Oxford was starting. So actually we should not live in past. We should think beyond being called Oxford of East. For that, changes are a must. And today, I'm happy to tell you, and Dr. Rajasekharan is sitting here, my worry was that when I tried to create changes, how regulatory body will respond to that. And he represents AST, I'm also been involved in AST for a long time. I put this question in one of my blogs that how regulatory bodies will respond to changes, which always are very fixed. I was very happy to tell you that there will be a lot of changes that have happened, and I'm happy with the regulatory bodies now. One of the changes we tried to bring in was a very different system than what AST approved system. I tried to bring it as a system. But I shared with the AST saying that I'm not trying to follow you, I cannot get your approval, but I'm going to share with you. What we did was divide engineering education into 2 parts. First 2 years, foundational courses, which I completely changed. Last 2 years, I created a track system. Track means it's a specialization of 8 to 9 courses in the last 2 years, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th semester. You don't have to make this choice at the time of admission. You spend 2 years' time, understand what it is. And I remember writing a blog on LinkedIn in 2018. I was planning to start in 2019. I was surprised to see more than 50,000 views on LinkedIn. Anup is around probably, and hundreds of comments from all over the world. A lot of excitement from Silicon Valley, from Bangalore, London, Pune, Hyderabad, wherever. Based on that feedback, I tried to modify my thing and launch it. Now, this is completely opposite to what typically happens in the system. You have board of studies, there are 5, 6 people sitting there having lunch, dinner, or whatever it is, and then you decide. I open source the whole thing, let the whole world come back to this and give it the feedback. Because today, 20-year young student may know better than 60 years old professor. So based on that, I launched it. I shared with the ICT. I was very surprised to get an appreciation letter from AICT saying that this is a wonderful course. In 2019, committee was formed by AICT, I remember. I'm happy to tell you, 2019 what we did, let me change countrywide because AICT adopted most of it. Not to the full extent. Member Secretary Rajasekharan was telling me that he wanted to copy AICT, but the flexibility was not in AICT. And then 2021, Pune University also picked up many of those elements. So I would just stop and sing that because I have to rush. Chandrayaan 3 mission is being launched. I was involved in Chandrayaan 2. It's a very emotional moment for me. I've called all the students to auditorium. And I don't want to miss that. I cannot delay that launch. I have to reach that thing. So I'll stop by saying that we need to be flexible. New education policy flexibility is there. And as Dr. Rajasekharan was telling that a lot of changes are being brought in the education system also. So we need to think beyond past glory. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Prabhat, Ranjan, and I don't have any right to stop you today. We know we have a speaker from Unstop here, but I don't have any right to stop you today because you have to rush. But taking cue from what you said, I'll come to Professor Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor, Somaiya Vidyavihar University. Sir, you have seen it all. So,
thank you very much.
Yes, so I will just ask you that.
We have the questions with me.
Okay, you can.
You have asked me to respond to the following question. How does Maharashtra plan to consolidate its position as a hub of
Sure, yes.
Number 1 question. I have been in Maharashtra for the last 5 years in Bombay. But I had occasion to see the university system in the state of Maharashtra, starting from Pune University from 1971 onwards. I am also part of the NEP implementation committee of the state of Maharashtra. I have been traveling for the last 9 months. We, the team, the NEP implementation committee team appointed by the government, has been traveling across the state of Maharashtra in the last 9 months. We could do something. I could get a feel of the Maharashtra higher education system in that perspective. And of course, the second question you asked is, how is my institution adapting to the NEP framework and what are the challenges which are facing? I will take it second. So let me respond to the first question. If you just look at Maharashtra, you will see that there are 26 universities. One central university, that is the Maharashtra, is in the Central Hindi University in Nagpur. Other than that, there is no central university. There are other 26 are government universities, and in fact, in the last few months, I could reach all of these universities for the interaction. And then we have total number of private universities. Maharashtra was a little bit late in bringing in private university system in the state. I will show that a private university in Bombay, Somaiya, Vidyavihar University. We have 20 private universities. And then we have total number of deemed universities in the state of Maharashtra, very high number, 21 deemed to be universities. And I understand there are 9.6 lakh students in the state of Maharashtra. And around 8,000 or 9,000 colleges of different kinds. And then 697 research institutes. That's very 697 research institutes in Maharashtra. Pune is definitely having the maximum research institute option. And then, if we just look at the questions altogether, the other sector, the Maharashtra, and in terms of student numbers, Maharashtra is, I think, first in the country, total number of students, and second is Tamil Nadu as of now. So, if we just look at the industries background, we have pharmaceuticals industry, we have Maharashtra, and Bombay is definitely the hub of industries, the Western Belt, petrochemicals, heavy chemicals, electronics, cars, engineering, and food industries, agro-based industries, and plastic-based industries. So, I will put the questions together now. How the higher education system is going to benefit out of the research establishment, out of the private initiatives in higher education, out of the industry and the finance capital, Bombay being the finance capital, how these things are going to be linked. When we look at NEP, we say all these things need to happen. These things were happening also earlier. For example, if you just look at the genesis of the research establishments in the country, you will see that the universities were where the credits of the research institution in the country. For example, if you did, I'm a chemist by profession. I'm a professor of chemistry. If you just look at the NCL, National Chemical Laboratory, the premier laboratory in the chemical laboratory in the country, established 3 independents. The entire knowledge for to this National Chemical Laboratory was coming from the Pune University. You see, very eminent professors, a lot of things which happened which was academically happened in the Pune University were transformed into realities in National Chemical Laboratory. And this is some sort of a symbiosis between the industry and academy is something which we are going to reinvent now. Because it has earlier the universities had the preeminence in all this education, knowledge creation, knowledge transfer, knowledge creation and transfer. When we talk about higher education, we talk about teaching and research. Teaching and research, teaching is knowledge transfer, research is knowledge creation. Only when we create knowledge, knowledge can be effectively transferred. And therefore, it is very important that education institutions create knowledge. And we are, of course, Pune was also attracting a good number of, not large number, good number of foreign students. Now, the government of India, we are today also there was a seminar how foreign universities can interact. I was sitting in the back, I kept attending to that also. How foreign universities can establish campus and businesses in our country. Of course, we are trying to promote it maximum. But understand and until they create knowledge in the universities, the real transfer of knowledge will not happen. And therefore, if even the established universities from the US and from the US, mainly from the US and the West, they went to some of the countries, about the Gulf countries. They have not established the universities per se. Some sort of a duplicate of some sort of a duplicate of the university is created. Probably the type of offerings which they are doing in those countries are totally different. And therefore, it is very important that to create knowledge in our university system. And we should provide the same kind of opportunity to private universities also. I worked only in the government, only for the last 5 years I worked in private. I worked 45 years in the government system of university administration, teaching, research and all that. Now I am in the private sector. And if the same facilities, Prabhat Ranjan mentioned, is also coming from the government research system and all that. But if you provide the same kind of facilitations which we are planning in this country to foreign universities, to the private universities in the state of Maharashtra, I think we will do much better than any other collaboration. And ultimately, it is for us to strengthen the Indian higher education system. And then, when it comes to implementation of NEP, I don't want to make a big statements here. We are thinking about appointing teachers is very important. There is another question, how pandemic has affected. I can connect with that question. Technology cannot teach, only teachers can teach. But teachers have to be equipped with technology. Teachers should know the appropriate technology. We have also, I understand. So we have seen during the pandemic what happened. There is a question like that. What in the pandemic and what is the post effect of it and what has changed. When the national education policy was announced on that particular day by the Prime Minister, I was hosting a meeting. Dr. Kasturi Rangan was chairing that particular meeting. It was the pandemic period, midst of the pandemic. So we were all worried. Experimental chemistry, Indian National Science Academy was there. Our academies were there. Laboratories equipments were rusting. There is no conference, no meeting of people. Research students do not come to the lab. What will happen to the laboratories? What will happen to all these things? We were worried. All the 3 academies were there. I hosted that meeting in Bombay. Kasturi Rangan was there. During the conference only, Dr. Kasturi Rangan got a call directly from the Prime Minister of India saying that the NDP is implemented that particular day. I think on July 20 or August 20 or July 20 or something. I don't remember exactly. So this was what would happen to higher education, what will happen to science and technology. But after we were worried, and of course we said that we will do that similar conference. But after 6 months, every March, Science and Nature gives a report of what is happening to science, what is happening to research all over the world. And that year, that particular COVID year was the year of science. Maximum collaboration happened across institutions, between individuals, without any consideration of levels. And research scholars interacted with eminent Nobel laureates. And maximum collaboration in the whole world in the history of science and scientific research happened during that period. Of course, we have seen the results also. For example, the vaccines, the new medical. So that is the power of collaboration. technology head collaboration, and that is definitely a positive thing. And at the same time, after technology also, if we just ignore teachers, I think that who will do the technology? Who will develop the technology? Who will mentor the technology to the student? And therefore, in the state of Maharashtra, if I have to make a 1 point, I think that 30 to 40% positions of the teachers are lying vacant in the state. I think that we have to consider. That's one thing. And then without teachers, I think we will not be able to do anything. There are almost 20% colleges. Our Prime Minister's great vision is to convert all colleges into universities and university level institutions in the years to come. And if we want, there are 20% colleges in this country. Because I was with the UGC, I was in NAC, I was with the Indira Gandhi National Open University, the largest open university in the world. I got 3 million students when I was the Vice Chancellor. So, if you just look at these things, the 50,000 colleges in this country, I know 20% of the colleges in this country have just were around 100 students, and they have got maybe one or two teachers. That also CH block cover this is, and I think it is definitely we are all getting transformed. Our autonomous colleges are getting transformed into 135 autonomous colleges in the state are going to be empowered colleges. We have issued, government has issued orders based on our recommendations. We are all doing, but we have just look at the last week also. There are thousands of colleges without any infrastructure, without any teacher, and this has to be practiced.
Right. Very important points raised by Professor Pillai. The lacking numbers of teachers, and I think regulators, government policymakers who are listening to this and will be listening to this will be doing their bit to bridge this gap. And you also talked about how technology can be an enabler to enable teachers and the entire ecosystem. On this note, I'll come to Ankit from Unstop. Ankit, you just heard Professor Pillai talked about technology as an enabler, support system. Your thoughts on that? How technology can transform education system? Maybe you can give a microscopic view rather than a macro view.
Sure. One thing is very clear. I'm with you when you say that teachers are required. I personally, being an online platform, I stand by that we do require good teachers, and online education cannot replace the physical education, at least to me. However, the online education can always complement, and I'll give you a scenario. So, I worked with Teach for India. I managed their operations for about 3 years. I was part of Teach for America, Teach for All partner network, where we understood education in India, right? And the teacher problem was also there, right? But what we could figure out was that there was an online platform that we created, which was Train the Teachers, right? Or it was called Train the Trainers. If we can basically combine the best practices of all the teachers and put them on a common platform, so that the other teachers who are not able to conceptually make that point very, very clear to their students, they can do that. So I'll give you a scenario. At Teach for India, what we wanted to do was that we were impacting close to about 40,000 students at scale. Now, a fellow in Delhi who's performing amazingly well in maths, or their students are performing amazingly well in maths, and I'm just talking about primary education, right, in a 8th standard. Now, that teacher would be doing something phenomenal in that lesson plans on a day-to-day basis, which probably others are lacking because the whole class is performing well. And teachers get to know, right? How do we ensure that this lesson plans on a day-to-day basis can be pushed across to a fellow in Chennai, Pune, and everywhere else, so that they can also start following the same methodology? And that can only be done through technology. It cannot be done physically, right? So that's one area where can we create a model where we are sharing the best practices and training the teachers. The second aspect is essentially how do we ensure that, and that was part of my presentation as well, that see, companies cannot go everywhere, students cannot go everywhere, and likewise colleges cannot go everywhere physically. It has to be done through technology, where can we connect the dots, and we have seen numerous examples where only technology has been able to connect those dots. Imagine we are doing this conference here, we are doing this conference only with restricted people, right? Imagine an online conference where anybody can attend. Obviously, it may not have the same impact as this conference because that's in person. But if we were to reach out to every educator in India and across the world, possibly online is the only option, correct? And that's why I believe that from this, the main aim of any educator is to ensure that the students become skilled, right? They attain the right skills, and they, after attaining the right skills, eventually they land a good career for themselves. I'm not talking about a job, I'm just talking about a career, because it can be entrepreneurship, it can be their own business, father's business, it can be a manager, tech, management, whatever that is, right? But all of that can only be taken care of through technological enhancements and through platforms like Unstop, LinkedIn, and others, who can give all of you students as well as companies that scale that is needed. Where else would you get more than 5 lakh or 10 lakh students appearing for just one exam within 8 to 10 hours? That cannot happen. That's for sure.
Right. So you're saying that technology for connecting dots. I think you're echoing Professor Pillai's statement only, that let's look at technology as an enabler and not as a competitor. Let's take the best part of technology, and there will be never an alternative of physical education imparting, as you rightly said. The impact we're having here, sitting with each other, maybe we may not get that in a virtual mode. But again, technology can do wonders, because then it unbundles the opportunity of reaching out to more people. Obviously, connectivity has to be there. I'll come to that part also, the problem of connectivity in the country, with the onslaught of 5G is coming and all those things. Because I think in the inaugural session, someone talked about that how we can go to, I think AICT speaker only talked about the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. We can only have that when we reach out to the masses. We can go to the last mile. For that, connectivity is going to play a major role. I come to that part maybe somewhere down the line. Let's have a perspective from Dr. Sayalee Gankar from Patil University. She's a Vice Chancellor, ma'am. I'll ask you a different question. In this context only, that you're part of the higher education ecosystem for many years. You've seen it all, right? We are talking about the gap of students coming out of higher education institutes and they are going to the industry. But there always a gap that they are not employable. I remember when I was studying my master's, what professor said, he said only one thing, boss, whatever I'm teaching you today, you have to unlearn everything when you actually join the industry. I still remember. And I actually realized when I started working that actually whatever I've learned in the institute, I'm talking about 18 years back, I know things have changed, but your take on that now?
The question is very relevant, and the topic which we started talking about is that how Pune, as an Oxford of the East, very well shared the statistic by Sir Pillai sir. I think the whole process begins with the education, the system, and especially the role of faculty members. Any state, any nation, any institution, I think morning Dr. Dilip has given a wonderful presentation wherein I thought that why not we create entrepreneurs as a faculty for our own institutions. Right? Because the faculties, they need to have the thought of creation, growth and development. Unfortunately, in the role of our own seats, we are more into comfort zone. Please, don't take it lightly. No, not lightly. Take it seriously. The reason is the change of the mindset and accepting the change is very essential. I was talking to all those presenters and even Unstop what you have done. Let's have introspection of our own campuses, our own processes, the way we perform our roles and responsibilities. I think strategies at national level, at state level, through the national education policies are made very powerful. And when we look at Pune as Oxford of East and having great leaders coming from all across universities, and out of 20 private universities, almost 15 private universities are in Pune. I'm not talking about the public university and deemed universities, and of course the Spicer universities there, Tilak Maharaj. So if you look at it, so many universities coming here. But when we look at the kind of the question which is coming to all of us when we have economic center of the country, Mumbai, and Pune is a education hub, I think our responsibility is much larger than what we are talking about. And I think that there the role comes not only to the strategic thinkers or policy makers, but it is the responsibility of the people, those who are going in classes and leading the institutions, like me and directors and principals of those institutions. So when we look at all this, I think one of the more concern is also that what is the brain drain is happening from Maharashtra and going to the other states, and why it is happening. And let's have introspection very well. Why are we lagging in implementing national education policy when we talk about ourselves as Oxford of the East? Right? I'm not talking only of Pune, I'm looking at Maharashtra as a hub, and when you look at Pune, you have all things, art, culture, you name the thinkers, philosophers, scientists, research laboratories, everything is available. Then why are we not able to implement national education policy, which is, and everyone talks about it, it's really good and we should have it. Then why are we not able to? I think that's the introspection which we need to do it. Therefore, the role of all of us has to be in place. We started having value addition programs. We started giving course era in 2006 when I was working earlier with the MIT group of institutions. And we got a wonderful effect out of it. Right? We got a good response. Coursera was one of my, I always talk about it in every forum, that Coursera was one of the very important inputs, because I did one program, Brainwave, in 2004 or 5, which was open source available, and I did that, and I realized that this is a new way of learning and teaching for the student and for the professionals. So why are we not exploring these possibilities? Right? We know we have a lot of challenges at every place. Not to say every institution has. There are the challenges, but I think we need to overcome those challenges with the positivity. And if the faculties and the leaders at the institutions, if they they change the mindset, I think we can make the world. We can really show that yes, we can really contribute. Unstop, I was going through the presentation. It's really interesting. We don't have much time as a teacher to prepare our own course plans, prepare case studies, problems, programs. And if these technologies are helping us, why not collaborate with them? Right? Why can't we implement those very successfully? I was talking to D2L and I said that today when I look at my own ERP and having migration towards, and I'm sure this thought is not only mine, everyone will realize what I'm talking about it. When we want to shift from one technology to other technology, how much resistance, how much negligence, how much no taking ownership is happening in the campuses. I think we need to really, this is a leadership program, and I think we have to take this job very seriously, right? Because fine, technology is there, government is there, stakeholders are there, your students are there, but why are we not able to implement it so aggressively? And if we're teaching that, and therefore the thought has came in my mind that why one teacher cannot become an entrepreneur to make the changes in classrooms and in their own institution. And that is what is required. If we are going towards more privatization, autonomy is given by the government, AICT is trying to give us so much available things. But then why our teachers are not that proactive? Why our leaders are not that proactive and taking that ownership? I think that's because who is implementing? So one is the, of course, stakeholder is my faculty member, my student and my parents. So can we really bring those on one? I'm sure that you will be thinking on the same thing, that on this dais it should be, you should speak good things, right? But I think this is the dais where we all are coming from, either from this floor or that floor, we all are together. So I think we have to change our mindset. We have to do our job very seriously, right? We are saying that our students are not learning, they don't want to come in class. Whose responsibility is that? Isn't it not our responsibility? Isn't it the responsibility of the universities and institutions? I think we have to make things very interesting. We have to play our role very, very dynamically in classrooms wherever we are. Can we collaborate? Because we are talking about having the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary exit programs. Do you have all those resources in our own campuses? Do we have that ecosystem? Can we have more collaboration? Can we exchange of faculties within ourselves? I think when he says that 30% the campuses, they do not have the faculty members, then can't we have that exchange more with ourselves, that yes, student is our responsibility and we all need to develop them. I think our role has to be, the time has come, right? I'm not talking about any philosophy, but the time has come where Indian philosophy, when we are talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, when we are talking about we need to be together, I think we have to change our role in every aspect. Could be teaching, could be syllabuses, could be designing programs, could be research conferences, could be journals, could be anything, whatever we are doing together. I think that collaboration, if we really do it, then we can call ourselves as Oxford of the East, and then we can say that yes, we are, and we can stop other companies. And then why should we believe in other philosophies? Even our philosophy itself is very, very strong. And I think we have to change our own glasses, our own vision, our own the perspectives, and we have to come to the different role altogether. Because if we are saying that India is having the largest youth population, then I think our responsibility is much, much larger. And if we really want to be towards the world, the economic, what we can say, the fifth largest economy we are talking about, I think we need to perform on every level and a different benchmark altogether. That is what I would like to say. And if we do this, then the gap which, why we are saying that the student has to go in companies and say that unlearn. Why student can say that this is what I have taught in my class and this is it should be performing. I think our onus is on us, and that gap, and I think nowadays the gap has not to be there. The reason is the kind of platforms which are available, edX, Coursera, you name the edtech companies, you will find that they are offering better programs. The IBM or maybe the companies, they are coming with their own syllabuses. I think we need to change those perspectives. We need to change, we need to have that resilience and of course flexibility to implement those. And this is, if we do it, then this particular tagline, whenever I remember since from 1989, this particular tagline is there, that there is a gap in education and the industry expectation. I think if it is that, then that hypothesis is to be removed or disproved that no, there is no gap and we are on one platform where we are taking care of the students. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Can we do this later because we are running short of time? One more panel is there. We can take this offline also. Quickly, 30 seconds to you. Can you have mic? No, sorry.
I am just trying to make a very quick point. Dr. Pillai said that 30% gap and all. What I do want to second is what Dr. Gankar said. Making the entire faculty gig workers, okay, and then recalibrate their compensation. Why can't that be? Recalibrate. If research is required, fine. That is the kind of thing they get separately. There is a difference between teaching. Good teachers need not necessarily be good researchers, okay, and good researchers need not necessarily. So let the entire education system become gig workers, and they can bring in all the
electronic, this e-learning platforms and so on.
Right. Just coming back to what Dr. Sayalee has said, very important point she has raised that the change has to begin from us. That is, when I'm saying us, from the education institutions, the faculty members, and you rightly said that why a student has to go to an industry, and the industry will say that you have to unlearn what you have learned, and that change can only happen when we all work together. And you talked about the problems with NEP implementations, the problems, and I think faculty, I think the mind of the change of mindset, upgradation of mindset is a very important thing. I was watching Dr. Nitin Joshi, director, Dr. Bedekar Institute of Management Studies. For long, he has been nodding to what Dr. Sayalee was saying. I think he also supports what Dr. Sayalee was saying, but I want to ask you that, do you also think that the biggest problem is that one, as Dr. Sayalee has said, others have said, that change of mindset, and also that many of us are still working in silos. Do you think that that is also a problem? You take on that?
I totally resonate with that thoughts because we have already met and we know how we think. The question which you are putting is, I think we work in silos. I think that is very right. We actually, instead of we collaborate to win, instead of collaborating to win, we compete. And in that competition, probably your regulator called an IRF or all those also become important. So there we actually get into the competition and who is better and which college gives better package, which college gives all that. Creates a different mindset rather than we collaborating. So that is where that silos come into picture. Secondly, with the thought process or with the requirements of research, with the requirement of teaching learning plan, with the requirements of teachers' feedback. A lot of teachers also work in silos. So they don't collaborate too much unless and until there is an opportunity of co-authoring a paper where a teacher feels that my name is also going to be there in that research paper. They don't normally.
So how do we break that? What is the way out there?
So the way which I am thinking or which I have in my mind and I have been implementing in my institution is, can we break the walls? Now these are not the physical walls which I am talking about. These are all mental walls. So unless and until we get into that kind of model, where I always focus on models of excellence. Now models of excellence work on enablers. So what kind of enablement should be there, which enables a teacher to come out of this silos and enables for progress of the student, progress of the institution, and progress of the nation and society at large. So unless and until we get into that kind of mindset, we'll continue to talk all that. And one of the enablers can be technology. And this technology enable means when we see the nature itself in our system, there is interdependence. Unless and until we create that interdependence in our system, all this talk will be going to a toss. So create a right model, and that has to be benchmarked with the global standards. Next important is we need to have the right people at the right place. Very, very important. Because what happens, a good teacher, great, but again, right good teacher may not be a great researcher. Because a lot of researchers may not connect with the student, but a good teacher can connect with the student. So these are some of the dimensions when we talk about teachers. So there I feel that change is important. Another important thing is particularly from the government perspective, which I feel is government has a lot of things in terms of regulations and all. What I feel is today everybody talks about ideation, innovation and all. So what I feel is there are many institutions where it is expected that all the institutions should have innovation labs, all the institutions should have incubation centers. All I think one is, even if we create by virtue of whatever resource we have, I think the utilization index or the utilization of this resource will not be even 80% or 90%. So my thought is that government should create such big centers of innovation. And this is where that Maharashtra can play a big role in becoming a big hub. So let innovation labs, which are meaningful, which are really utilized, which will create some meaning for the students, and meaning for the society. Otherwise, innovations are happening in isolation, based on the vitamin M attraction. So vitamin M becomes the most important parameter for innovation rather than the social system benefiting. So that is another important one. And last but not least is when I talk about education pattern, where is the challenge coming in and where is the... So my thought is that there is a need to transform the young manpower into more purposeful, noble human being. Means when I say purposeful, so everybody cannot be a coder, everybody cannot be everything. So let that purposeful cause should be there so that he is happy. At the end of the day, if he is not happy, then all our efforts will go to a toss. And technology adaptation, because we cannot run away from technology, we like it or we don't like it. Then technology adaptation for helping the learners understand and apply. Understanding is very simple word, but understanding is very difficult. This is what I have understood in we are talking about the Bloom's taxonomy. So, though it is in the second level, but I think understanding something, understanding students, I think this is one of the biggest challenges which teachers also face. So, last point is we need is to understand how learners learn. All your problems will get solved if we understand how our learners learn and what teaching pedagogy is appropriate that brings joy of learning. Currently, it is difficulty of learning. Mathematics is difficulty of learning. Physics is difficulty of learning. Unless and until we bring the joy of learning and help and discover the true potential of a human being, I think that is what is required if we really wish to create and come out of the silence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. If I can take one point of what you've said, all the points are important, but you're saying that let's take technology as an enabler, as a model of excellence to break those barriers and silos. Very important point, and obviously the other things you have said, very important. Make meaningful innovation hubs. That is very important. And bringing back the joy of learning rather than just trying to copy what teacher is saying. That's very important. And if we can do all this thing, I think we'll move to the right direction, as Dr. Sayalee was also saying that future is bright, it's up to us how fast we can make this future brighter. I'll come to the last speaker of this panel, but very important speaker we have with us, Adya Sharma, Director, Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Symbiosis International University. Ma'am, you have heard the speakers for the last 30-40 minutes. Do you think that we are in the right track? What we are discussing, or you have something else in mind that no, we need to do this thing in a different way, not this way what we have been discussing, in terms of taking the higher education ecosystem in the right direction, especially in terms of Pune or Maharashtra. Your thoughts on that?
I resonate with the speakers on a lot of issues. I resonate with the fact that yes, Maharashtra has the potential, and maybe we haven't yet unleashed that potential. I resonate on the fact that technology is extremely important. I also resonate on the fact that we need to, we cannot work in silos, we have to collaborate rather than compete. And maybe I pick up on everything and introduce something which combines everything and maybe offers a solution. So I come from a university, Symbiosis International University, which was started on the motto of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, something which is also the tagline now for our G20 summit. And I pick up that Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, I pick up technology, I pick up the connectivism which you spoke about when you started this track, and let me offer you a solution which can combine all this together and provide a wonderful exposure to the students. So when pandemic hit us, it was a very bad phase, but one thing which all of us were doing we were connecting with each other using technology. The companies were working, the industry was working. Someone was sitting in India, someone was sitting in Brazil, someone was sitting in another country, and we were using technology. Technology became the middle name of all of us, and it continues to be, and it will be. So when we are talking about education, how can we ensure that students learn to work with this diversity, not when they land up in a job, but even before that? They appreciate it. Using technology. And therefore there's something new that we initiated, which is called, not initiated, it exists in the world, collaborative online international learning. Now what is collaborative online international learning? It is, in a very simple language, when two cohorts of students from two different countries, from two different cultures, from two different languages, use technology to work on live projects. I'm not talking about Indian faculty teaching a cohort of foreign students. I'm not talking about foreign faculty teaching a cohort of Indian students. I'm talking about students working together on a live project without actually traveling to another country. Because let's face another fact. Maybe we all love to travel. Maybe we all want to travel abroad. But let's be honest, how many people in my country, how many students of my country can actually travel abroad? Traveling abroad is still a luxury for a huge population of my country. So should that deprive us from that exposure? Should that deprive us from sharing our skills with others or learning from others? No. And that's where technology most probably comes in. It's not just to learn online courses, it's also to work with a different batch of students, to share skills, to learn from them. And therefore, yes, if we are talking about the future, if we are talking about taking our education system to the next level, and NEP has for the first time introduced internationalization, that's right. I mean, for the first time in an education policy of our country, we have a new paragraph, we have a new chapter which talks about internationalization. And internationalization does not mean traveling. It does not mean that it's great if you can travel. It does not mean that I have to go to another country. It does not mean that faculty has to come here. That is really for the privileged. I'm talking about my country, and when I'm talking about my country, I'm talking about internationalization at home. In a way, Coursera does that. When sitting here, I can learn from a professor of Berkeley or Carnegie Mellon. A lot of these edtech firms, yes, they are doing it, and yet another way is collaborative online international learning. So in short, what I'm saying is, yes, we should be ready to be entrepreneurs. We should be in our teaching. We should be ready to explore new avenues. We should be ready to try the new paths, because we have the skills. We now just need to sharpen them and reach out to the world to help us, to help them also acknowledge.
Thank you.
Can I just make one point of this?
10 seconds.
Yeah. So we were working with KPMG and Deloitte. So I'm ex-Deloitte. But we launched this engagement for them where they actually were working on this with us. So effectively, when a team is working on a solution for a KPMG or Deloitte, on Unstop, they can actually send an invite to any student across the world to form a team with us, right? And they're solving that particular problem with that diversity in mind and collaborative mind. Exactly. And so the point I'm making is it's already there. I think we have not got that into the system, but outside of the system, the companies have already started doing it, and students have already started doing it online.
What we're doing in the company, we should do it right from the institute level. That's what, a student should not just reach and then understand, oh, I have to work with a diverse group, and now how do I do that? It happens right in the institution where you are there. And just one of the ways, which is not expensive, which is not something for which you have to invest a lot. The only thing you have to invest is your intellectual knowledge and your spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship.
True. Thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause for all these speakers? Insightful, great learning experience from me as well. Just taking cue from what Adya ma'am has said, that it reminded me of a institution called Vidyavihar, which in Shantiniketan was created so many years ago. What we are discussing today about MEP, interaction of education, it has been the Tagore's vision while building Vidyavihar was that 50 years, 60 years back, you name any country, all the citizens were there, and still today are there. You name any state, all are there, and they're learning so many things. I know the standard of the university is not that well. That's a different story. But I'm talking about how vision can change everything, transform everything. And if I take a crux of what has been discussed for the last 45 minutes or so, let's embrace technology as an enabler. There are problems of implementation of NAP. Mindset change is a huge problem. We have to come out of working as silos of that mindset. Again, technology can be a model of excellence as an enabler for that. Internationalization of education, and as you have given an example of working on live projects. So technology is happening. So I think future is bright. Again, I'm saying there are gaps. It's up to us whether we'll embrace technology to bridge those gaps with conducive policies, obviously, so that we can move to the right direction. Thank you so much, all of you. With this, we come to the end of the session. I request Sanal Kamwati, co-founder of APAC News Network, to come on stage and kindly hand over a token of appreciation to all our speakers. And then we'll start the next panel discussion. That's on how our higher education institutions in Maharashtra are looking to enhance R&D and innovation. And for that, I'd like to call Atul Bengari, Director and Chief Learning Influencer, Acumen to come on stage. He'll be playing the role of moderator. So I request Atul Bengari to come on stage as well, please. A huge round of applause for Adya Sharma, Director of Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Symbiosis International University, for Ankit Aggarwal, founder and CEO of Unstop, to Professor Rajasekharan Pillai, Vice Chancellor, Somaiya Vidyavihar University, to Dr. Sayalee Gankar, Vice Chancellor, Patil University, Pune, and Dr. Nitin Joshi, Director, Dr. Bedekar Institute of Management Studies. We keep Professor Ranjan's gift with us. We keep it later. Can we have a group photo? All the speakers together, please.